Hi, I'm Liselle Sambury and welcome back to my channel where I talk about all things writing, traditional publishing, and a little bit of reading. And this is a bit of a different video. So what this is it's actually a compilation of a video series that I've been doing on TikTok, where every day that I work on it, I'm basically documenting how the drafting process goes for writing the second book in my new YA Dark Academia fantasy series, whose first book, A Mastery of Monsters, comes out in summer of 2025. And so every day I work on the book, I do one of these updates and I post it on TikTok. And so I created this compilation sort of video series here on YouTube to basically batch together each week's video into one YouTube video, just because the videos are kind of like, they're too long for YouTube Shorts, but they're also a little too short for me to want to post them every day on YouTube. And so for those of you that like my YouTube channel and you aren't really fans of TikTok, that's basically what these videos are. It's just all the videos for that week packed into one, so that you can watch this every week and you can kind of see the whole kind of videos for the week. I am still going to be doing my monthly writing vlogs, so you'll still see those, and those really include like other facets of my life and like b-roll and that sort of thing, whereas these are like very pointed, basically only about drafting this specific book. So without further ado, I will let you enjoy the compilation, and you may notice that this intro is the same for every compilation video. That's because I just wanted to do one intro that I can use for all of the compilation videos going forward. And of course, I will also put them in a playlist, which I have linked down below, so that as the series goes on, if you missed anything and there's a few videos, you can just watch the whole playlist of the compilation. And things are falling apart. Things are falling apart. Things are falling apart. So I feel like this is classic situation for getting to the midpoint. Yeah, things are really starting to not go as planned. So what this chapter is this is the actual midpoint chapter. So this chapter is where I do a big midpoint twist because that's what I like to do at midpoints. I like to do a big twist. So the big twist in this section, good. I'm happy with the big twist. I think the big twist is good. I think the big twist hits. I think it's great. It's perfect. But there are also supposed to be all these emotional beats that were supposed to also happen at the midpoint. So also the whole team was supposed to kind of fall apart at this time, and it didn't really happen. Also, a character is supposed to like basically die. This, not now, but later. But even when I was planning it, I thought it would be better if it happened now. So when I was writing it, I was like, yes, this is the time, this is the right place for this. So I put it in. But now I basically created an issue for myself in which, when I'm supposed to have the kind of dark night of the soul moment where things get really, really, really bad for the main character, that was supposed to happen then. So now I don't have anything there. And so I think what my plan is, which I have conceptualized literally as I've been talking here, what my plan I think I will be is that the big like team falling apart thing, maybe that's something that I can move to later. And I don't really think this is a spoiler because it's kind of anticipated. Is it a spoiler or is it anticipated? Things have to go bad. So I think like whatever challenge I'm going to make for them that I was going to kind of start at this point, I think I will actually move it to that Dark Night of the Soul part and leave it alone here, which means that now I'm changing a lot of my plans, which I don't really want to do because it makes the drafting process messy when I am suddenly on the fly having to change all my plans. But I also have to change the plans because it just works better for the book. In writing this chapter, I was trying to fit too many things into this midpoint. I can't have the big thing that happens and then also have all these other things happen. And I think that's why I wanted to put I wanted to put a dying thing later on, but it doesn't really work anywhere else. Like this is the part for it. This is the right place. And so I just think it works best there. But again, yeah, now it means that I have to build up to something completely different as I'm going forward. And I'm gonna have to do that just on the fly, which isn't really what I would prefer to do, but I do think it is what has to happen because I just don't see anything else kind of working. And it also then gives me more time to build up the character things, because I also felt like this wasn't the right point for a falling apart. It's just like, I feel like they just like kind of started working well together, and I want to have some time of working well together before we get to falling apart. So I feel like that's gonna work out better. So that's where I am. Things are, yeah, no falling apart in the chapter as I wanted, but me falling apart personally as I go through this. But anyway, I do have a line, and yeah, I'm gonna have to do a little bit of editing for it, but here is the quote. So the quote is, they're fucking invincible, a god. I grit my teeth, any god can be killed. So that's it. And last time things were falling apart, and I feel like today things are coming back together. So today I had to work on the other POV in the story. I feel like I'm starting to like be really into this other POV. Like I really love it. I also feel like maybe the voice is a little bit easier to get into. I feel like August is a main character. I don't know. I guess my main characters always feel like very challenging. And of course this is another main character, but I don't know. I feel like I have an easier time stepping into her POV and getting into her voice. I just feel like it's just like an easier time of it for me. So I had her chapter today, and then I quickly realized, because I changed the last chapter I did, the midpoint chapter, I changed it to be happening during the nighttime because that seemed to make more sense logistically to me. But because of that, then this next chapter was during the daytime. And so then it's like they're going back in time. That doesn't make any sense. So I had to do a little swapperoo, and I swapped. So this chapter happened first. I guess like this POV, like this is the midpoint for this POV, the like sort of midpoint twist moment. So it really is fine that it happens first and then the other midpoint twist. And so it kind of makes sense. It works out anyway. But so her and the love interest, like they meet up again to do another sort of investigation thing. There's a bit of a confrontation with the love interest's ex, which is like a whole thing, but I find it to be very juicy and fun. So that was really good. And then they have like a bit of like a heart-to-heart moment. And yeah, there's like a bit of a conversation about kind of their whole deal, which yeah, that happens. And then they go to do this research stuff, and during the process of that, they're trying to figure out like some clues, some riddles now, which means that I have to write riddles now, which is a whole other challenge. I also have to, at some point, I'm gonna have to research like how people were speaking during that time, because these like riddles are things that are from like someone that was living in like the 1800s, and I'm just writing it however I'm writing it now, but I'm gonna have to go back and like look at some 1800s writing and like make sure that the sort of language makes sense and that it's similar enough. So that's gonna be an adventure for me later on, but for now I'm just leaving it kind of in plain English. So I did that, and they did the solving of the riddle, and then something is revealed that really kind of shifts the mindset for this POV character, which is why it happens at the midpoint. And so it's like this big sort of reveal shifting kind of moment, and I really liked it. I really liked writing it. I thought it like worked out really well, and so I'm like very proud of this chapter. I think it was like good. I feel like a lot of stuff happened, but in a way that felt like evenly paced to me, maybe a little bit faster towards the end because she has to go from the library to her house, and I do that in like a sentence. I'm like, she left the library, now she's at her house. So maybe that will have to be slowed down, but overall pretty pleased with how this went. And it was a nice break because the other stuff in the other POV is falling apart, but this one, solid. So I do have a quote here. It's kind of part of a dialogue section, but yeah, this is a character saying this. You want it to be all above board, yes? Well, it's not. Sometimes you have to get down in the ditch to wrestle your way out. You can't just stand on the edge and hope to not fall in. So I really like that. I thought that was like a fun little on the fly metaphor, which I always find interesting for characters to say, because sometimes you think, oh, well, people aren't just saying that stuff, but people do say random metaphors all the time. They're just perhaps like less eloquent in getting it all out in one sentence. But anyway, that's it for today, and I will see you tomorrow. I'm clearly in a different situation. I'm here at my grandparents' house in Toronto because I've come here for a book festival. So the lighting is gonna be a little bit wild for the next little week. I'm just here. The book festival is actually on Sunday, and then I'm here for a little bit beforehand. So I apologize for that, but I'm doing the best I can. So today I actually didn't even think I was gonna actually end up writing. It's just like when I travel, it's a little bit difficult. So I was on a flight in the morning, and then I got here in the afternoon, and then I ate a little bit, and then I went to get my nails done. So I was like, am I really gonna write after all of that? And I thought about just skipping the day, but I decided not to, and to stick it out and to get writing done. So I did do that. I wrote a chapter which I completely changed from everything it was supposed to be. So because of that midpoint twist that I had done before, oh my gosh, there go the dogs. It's a little bit chaos here. But because of that midpoint twist that I did, I wanted to do a little bit of a debrief because the main character, oh my God, here's the source of the barking. It's my grandparents' chihuahua. Anyway, I guess you can join for the video, huh? You can join. So I wanted them to have a bit of a debrief after that whole situation, basically to talk over what happened at the midpoint and kind of discuss that a little bit more. And so I decided I was going to do that. I'm putting you down. You're doing too many things. So I decided that I wanted that to happen. So I made a scene first for them to have that discussion as a group. No more barking. And then after they have that discussion as a group, I basically was supposed to flow into the first next round of the competition. I honestly am trying my best. I'm so trying my best to be outside of my normal filming situation. Anyway, I'm over here now. And so basically after that scene, it was supposed to flow into them going into the next segment of the competition. But I realized that like a character that's like a more main character should have been in the scenes more. And I kind of felt that he was fading to the background a little bit. And so I decided basically to kind of like throw him into this chapter, and that made the chapter longer. And then they were about to go into the competition, and I just realized like I basically had like 200 words left to make it like a 2,000 word chapter. And I was like, this just needs to be its own chapter. Again, this is the same problem that I've had with previous chapters that have the battles. Like it can't be a single scene thing. It's just like it's too pervasive, especially this particular battle that's coming up, because something like significant happens. And so I decided to just cut the chapter off short, so it's 1,800 words, and just like make it, add a new chapter. So the next chapter that I write tomorrow will just be that battle scene, and then I'll flow into the next other chapters. And this will probably become the segment in which I'm once again adding more chapters, because I didn't like, I didn't set up well for that whole basically like giving enough time for each of the battles. Now the clock is going, so many sounds in this place. But anyway, so I didn't really set up well for that. And so that's kind of where I ended off. So I'm going to stop this here. Too many things are happening. But all that to say, I really like didn't think I was going to get the writing done today. I didn't have a ton of faith in myself. I definitely wanted to just not bother, but I stuck it out and I did it, and I'm happy that I did. I am still at my grandparents' place, but the little barking hell demon is sleeping. So hopefully things will go better today. But wow, today writing, I feel like I snapped.
I really feel like I snapped. Like, I was like, who is she? I was like, what is happening? Today I just like, I had a bit of a rough, like, writer sort of day. To put things short, I'm on submission. And, you know, being on submission with a book and trying to sell a book to publishers is stressful. And I've been feeling it, and it had made me kind of like, I don't know, start feeling like, I guess, like insecure as a writer. And like, yeah, it was just difficult. So I did a little bit of journaling about it so that I could get that out of my head and then move on to actually working today. And I feel like that really helped. I put on a little music to get me into the mood of the scene, and then I turned it off, and then I just locked in. And the things that came out of me, I was surprised. So basically this is that new chapter I added where it's all a battle scene, and so they go into this fight, and it's just like a lot of things happen in it. Things are really difficult, so a lot of things go on in this fight, and so that was happening, but I was getting to like, I was like roughly 1,000 words, and I was like, this isn't enough for a chapter. And so I just on the fly decided I was gonna like add more to a chapter and like bring in the other character, that's like the other teammate. And I just like, man, I just like went off the wall with it. And yeah, I mean, I've been building up a lot of romantic tension in this book, and I just felt like this was a good moment for tension to come to a head. And I did like a very like romantic like scene, I guess like semi steamy but appropriate for YA sort of scene. And I was just like really proud of myself, because I do find that for me, writing romance in books is like something that I definitely have to very actively work on. Not like my strength per se. And so I just feel like I did really well with this romantic scene. I feel like it was so good. And so I'm very, very proud of myself. And I definitely am feeling better about those like sad writer feelings I had earlier, because I was like, you can write good stuff. And yeah, so that was really it. I was just like super proud of myself. So yeah, that's it for today. I don't really have like a particular line or like quote, and certainly I can't do it without spoiling things. So yeah, but it was just like the whole of it. The whole of it is a very good character moment. It was very good for the romance, and I feel like I have set up now for so many like interesting things to come after this. And so even though some parts of my story are still falling apart, I feel like I'm getting a good grasp on other things in the story, and I'm really happy about that. So yeah, that was it for today, and I will see you again tomorrow. And I'm recording in yet another new spot. I had literally 2 separate dogs come in here before I was able to shut them out. But anyway, today's writing went well. Basically, the chapter was supposed to once again be 2 parts, and I decided to just cut it down to 1 part. And so it was 1 match. So they were watching their friend do her match. She's in like a different league than them, so they were watching her do it, and she's kind of like she's like the student mentor, like she's like senior to them, but she's still kind of like, this is only her 2nd year involved in this whole society and competition. And her brother are a team, and so they were kind of watching them. And this is where I kind of like wanted to bring to a head kind of the discord that's been happening between the 2 siblings. I have not built it up well in the book so far. That's definitely something that's gonna have to happen in editing, but basically it kind of comes to a head at the worst time, because they're competing. And so they're watching this match and like having a conversation, and the main character is also seeing some parallels between the kind of troubles that they're having and the difficulty that she's having with like the love interest. And so that is kind of like a good point and time for her to kind of reflect a little bit on that and to be like, oh, okay, I kind of see what's happening here. There's also some romantic drama because, as I talked about in the last chapter, I like did that whole romance thing, and now there's like a bit of fallout because it's kind of become like a little bit of a secret, and now she's kind of stressed out about like who knows and who doesn't. A reminder that the whole romance thing is forbidden for reasons, and so it's just kind of become a little bit of a thing in that case. In the background there's that, and then she's also having this whole thing with another character. There's kind of like a bit of contention between two of them, and I was able to play that a little bit, so that was good. I like these chapters where they watch matches a lot, for one, because I feel like it's natural to like go and watch other people's matches, but I feel like it's also a good time for them as characters to kind of have that debrief time where they can kind of think about like how their matches are going, and they can have like character interactions, and you can see a little bit of the society, but then at the same time there's that action of the actual like match happening, which I think is fun to watch. So yeah, I feel like this went well. I don't have a line because I wrote in the morning and then I went and did stuff and then I just came back to film this. I'm sure this video has ended up going out a little bit later than I usually do them, so I don't have anything like that. But yeah, and I will see you again on Monday, which will be my last day here, and then the rest of the week will be a little bit more business as usual.